Almost certainly. In fact, the Israeli Air Force said the killing of Fuad Shukr, the Hezbollah military commander, was in response to the rocket attack on Majd al-Shams, the Golan Heights village that killed 12 children. They said he was the commander responsible for launching the rockets, and his death actually was also in response to the major launches that Hezbollah has been firing, thousands and thousands of rockets over the past 9 months. Ismail Haniyeh, the timing may simply have been an opportunity. He normally lives in Qatar, where Israel would not attack. It's a key US ally. A strike on Qatari soil would be disastrous for relationships around the region. But a strike on Iranian soil is very different. It has occurred before. It's still a huge thing. It's still an enormous provocation, according to Iran, but it's not the same as killing Ismail Haniyeh in his normal place of residence. So perhaps Israel may not have planned that in conjunction with its response to the Majd al-Shams explosion, and it just simply saw an opportunity. But either way, it's probably been looking for a way to kill Ismail Haniyeh for some time.
So give us a sense of how significant he was in the leadership of Hamas.
He was the face of Hamas, Bev. He was its key political leader. He was central to its relationships with all the major players in the region, with Qatar, as I mentioned, with Iran, obviously, with Turkey, with Egypt, but also to the other Palestinian political factions. They've all condemned his death. They viewed him as a pragmatist, and in Hamas terms, a relative moderate, someone they could work with. They're actually outraged that he's been assassinated. It potentially makes the task harder for the moderate Palestinian factions, because now they'll have to deal with more hardline elements within Hamas. It also enormously complicates the task of reaching a ceasefire. Ismail Haniyeh was one of the leaders of the Hamas negotiating team, and as Israel and Hamas were apparently inching closer to an agreement, Israel presumably has killed one of those key figures. That really makes it hard to see how they'll reach an end to the fighting in Gaza at this stage.
Yeah, indeed. As we both know, we've talked about Hezbollah, Hamas, the Yemeni Houthis. They're all proxies of Iran to a degree. I mean, what is this going to mean, this target on Iran, and how Iran might respond, and how that might complicate broadening this conflict?
It looks like the US is well aware of those dangers, Bev, and it's already moving to counteract them and suppress those threats. Apparently there are US naval ships en route, and also there was reported strikes on Iranian-backed militia in Iraq overnight, kind of in conjunction with the strike in Beirut. It probably aimed to suppress any fire towards Israel from those heavily armed militias, which have fired at Israel at various points in this conflict. Yemen's Houthis have not, there was apparently a ballistic missile shot down, which was fired towards the southern Israeli city of Eilat overnight. So there has already been some response. It's not clear exactly how Iran is going to coordinate that, whether Iran's planning a major response itself. It has in the past exercised something called strategic patience, which means it waits until it has an opportunity and then it responds. It did so after the killing of key General Qasem Soleimani by the US in early 2020. But there are so many things we don't know exactly how seriously Iran's going to view this, exactly how much Iran has the capacity and the willingness to escalate. All of these things complicate an already tense and already dangerous situation.
Yeah, and to your earlier point about this ceasefire, this attempt to get a cessation in the hostilities, do you think there's genuine willingness? Do you see that some of these attacks are aimed at disrupting the process on some parts of both sides?
Well, there's a theory that Israel favours, well, certainly Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, there's a theory that he favours this approach because he doesn't want a ceasefire in Gaza. There are elements of the Israeli government that certainly don't want a ceasefire in Gaza. They want to keep going until they've claimed the major figures of the Hamas leader in Gaza, Yahya Sinwar, and confirmation that they've killed Mohammed Daif, the military leader of Hamas in Gaza. So it's really it depends on who you ask. Certainly, Benjamin Netanyahu benefits politically from things continuing. He also has satisfied the more aggressive elements of his cabinet by showing that Israel is still capable, still willing of taking strong offensive action against the people who've been plaguing it for the past 9 months. But it will probably disappoint those people in Israel, a number of hostage families that desperately wanted a ceasefire while there's still some chance of getting their relatives out alive from Gaza.
Yeah, very complicating the situation. Good to talk as always, Eric. Thanks so much.